Hey, 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 it's Fat Albert. Do I start off hot? I'm gonna start off hot. I'm gonna need some of y'all to read. Seriously, read past the headline, because the discourse I'm seeing online regarding this article is proving that media literacy is dead. Hello, hello, hello. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're not new, then welcome back. Today, I want to talk about the question that is blowing up. Why are women online saying that having a boyfriend is embarrassing? And the reason I'm kind of starting off hot is because everyone is reading the title and jumping to the wildest assumptions, even though the author herself has even described and talked about in detail what the article is actually about. So here's the thing. The article isn't really about dating. It's not really about hating men. It's about independence. It's about cultural shifts, and it's about the way relationships are being changed in real time. So we are going to get into what the article actually says and back it up by lots of research that's going to be in the description of this video. One of my goals with this channel is to create short, sweet videos like this one, where I can share my opinion on different things and kind of just spark a conversation. So let's get into it. Chanté Joseph's Vogue article, Is Having a Boyfriend Embarrassing Now?, isn't an article about hating men. It offers a deeper insight into how the entire status of women is being redefined. The main point is that being someone's girlfriend has experienced a significant decline in value. What used to be sought after or a status symbol has now diminished to carry a negative connotation. As one dating expert said, the whole thing is about rejecting dependency. For decades, a woman's relationship status was seen as her primary personality trait. Being taken was an achievement that confirmed your femininity. The dating landscape Joseph describes has flipped this entirely. The article and its analysis argue that a new cultural prize, the real value cultural asset, is independence and satisfaction. In this new world, a relationship is no longer considered an achievement. At most, it's a nice add-on. So, this embarrassment that she's discussing, it's not about your feelings towards your partner. It's the deep, cringing anxiety of being seen as boyfriend obsessed. This new social hierarchy is simple. Visible independence equals high status. Visible dependency, or even just appearing to prioritize a relationship over your own personal growth, is considered a liability. So women find themselves balancing two different worlds, trying to reap the social benefits of having a partner without being labeled as obsessed. This shift is so profound that it's political. The analysis in the article highlighted a podcast comment that captures this perfectly. Why does it feel Republican to have a boyfriend? That one comment offers a clear perspective. It suggests that the entire boyfriend-girlfriend identity is now linked with being regressive or traditional. And let's be honest, in a culture where women's public identity centers on being progressive, independent, and career-focused, a traditional public relationship can seem ideologically inconsistent. This isn't just about dependence, it's about being perceived as conservative, which poisons the modern female brand. So why did this happen? This rejection of dependency didn't just create a void. It was replaced by a personal brand, where you're encouraged to see yourself as a commodity or a product to be marketed. And here's the problem. This can create conflict with your audience. Posting a partner can be a brand violation. We have proof. In that Vogue article, contributor Stephanie Yabao, sorry if I butchered your name, girly, she lost hundreds of followers after hard launching her boyfriend. Additionally, there's a conflict with your partner. Your brand requires you to be on 24/7. One entrepreneur on Reddit admitted his brand makes him seem emotionally unavailable because he just can't provide constant presence for his relationship. This changes the meaning of embarrassment. A partner is an unpredictable, unbranded variable that could create harm for your brand. An authentic, unbranded person is seen as threatening. Why? Because as therapists say, if the other person is not performing, you can't either. And that's terrifying for some people. The embarrassment is just the fear of being forced into a real, unmarketable interaction that risks damaging your entire brand. Now, of course, the Vogue article does have its critics. An article in Evoke, so evoke.ie, simply dismisses the whole phenomenon as a touch desperate and jealous. This alternative viewpoint tries to reframe the entire issue as personal rather than sociological. It argues that if you're anticipating being embarrassed by your partner's habits, you're just not into them. This critique connects the embarrassment to it culture. However, these two aren't mutually exclusive. It culture does not serve as an alternative to the Vogue article. Instead, it functions as the mechanism behind this trend. The whole ick argument is based on an old school head over heels idea of love, but the personal brand model is not about feelings. So let's connect the dots here. In this context, ick culture involves applying brand management concepts to dating. The ick, which is typically a minor behavior on mannerism, is the exact moment when a potential partner displays an off-brand trait. This functions as a brand test. The embarrassment is simply the anxiety that this off-brand trait, by association, can damage your personal brand. Evoke's critique overlooks this aspect entirely. They interpret this as merely a lack of love, but it's actually a conscious or subconscious evaluation of brand compatibility. But beyond that jealousy critique and the ick, thick, there's a third reason for not posting: communal solidarity. Stephanie Yabao, the same creator who had lost followers, discusses this. After losing followers, she also shared feelings of being guilty for sharing, especially when we know how bad the dating landscape is right now. She simply didn't want to be boastful. This highlights a complex issue missing from both the original Vogue article and its main critiques. It is a deliberate choice to avoid performing happiness on social media, which acts as a breeding ground for jealousy and social comparison. The act of not boasting aims to shield one community from the negative psychological effects of comparison, an act of solidarity that the personal brand and jealousy frameworks entirely overlook. This brand anxiety and social calculation weren't just imagined. They lead to new behaviors on social media. Posting your relationship isn't just an announcement anymore, it's a strategic process. First, there's the soft launch. This is the light-handed, slow-moving way to tease or hint your relationship. It's all about those subtle teases or little clues. You know what this is. Posting a little hand or a shadow or a blurred face or like their drink. Then there's the hard launch. This is the full-blown, full-speed-ahead public declaration. It leaves no room for guessing. You're making it clear to everybody by posting their name, their face, or their social media handles. So the soft launch is a straightforward response to the brand risk that we were discussing. The use of the business terminology soft launch and product testing is intentional. It shows that relationships are now being handled with the same risk logic as a corporate brand launch. The soft launch allows you the social benefit of being taken without fully committing your personal brand to this new product. It's a testing phase. For what exactly? The relationship's longevity, yes, but also for your audience's reaction. Here, your audience is given a hand, a leg, a shadow, or a fork, and they must play detective and solve the mystery. This metaphor is powerful because it gamifies intimacy, turning a private experience into a public puzzle. Your audience isn't just a spectator anymore. They're an active solver participating in the reveal. And that ambiguity, it serves as a crucial defense strategy. It shields the poster from shame because if the relationship ends before the hard launch, you can maintain plausible deniability and avoid the humiliation of public failure. Research shows that posting your relationship constantly is often connected to relationship contingent self-esteem, which is a clinical way of saying that your self-worth relies on your relationship. It's also associated with anxious attachment styles and a strong need for external validation. This relationship performativity, the act of showcasing your bond for an audience, tricks your brain into equating digital applause with relationship success. But this is where it creates an impossible catch-22 scenario, because posting constantly can be a sign of insecurity. But, and this is a huge but, research from Carnegie Mellon University and the University of Kansas reveals that not posting can also be problematic. Their study found that when someone, the personal brand, frequently posts about their life but leaves out their romantic partner, it negatively impacts their partner satisfactions and feelings of intimacy in their relationship. This excluded partner is made to feel left out or less special. This high-stakes no-win scenario is where you either A, post the partner, which satisfies the partner's need for conclusion but exposes your personal brand to significant risk, or option B, you don't post the partner. This protects your personal brand from market and social risks but actively damages the relationship, diminishing your partner's potential feelings of intimacy. Now, the soft launch is simply a temporary tactical measure. It's not a real solution. Chanté Joseph's observation, the shift towards not posting, clearly shows that in this no-win situation, safeguarding your personal brand is becoming more important than addressing the intimacy needs of your partner. But that's where the psychology of this performative intimacy becomes even more complex. It's a paradox we've all seen, and it's well known. The more someone posts about their relationship, the less happy they most likely are. A Shotcase study of over 2,000 people provided this data. Among couples who post couples content 3 or more times a week, only 10% described their relationship as very happy. Even more concerning, 42% of those same posters reported feeling very unhappy. But on the other side, the happiest groups were the ones who never posted. 46% of them reported being very happy, with only 13% being very unhappy. Even those who posted just a few times a year, like for an anniversary, did well, with 32% reporting as very happy. And this wasn't just an isolated case. A separate University of Kansas study of 300 couples reached the same conclusion. Those who were happy and secure in their relationships were less likely to post couples content on social media. So this paradox is driven by an insecurity and need for validation that is missing from offline relationship. These gushing posts are an attempt to display the picture-perfect relationship. It seeks to create a brand of happiness that falls short of being genuine. This creates a vicious cycle. that leads to social comparison, which raises unhappiness and fuels the desire for more compensation posting. The Vogue article doesn't merely report a passing trend. It represents a calculated defensive reaction to a media landscape that has altered intimacy, transforming a private experience into a publicly exposed, high-stakes commodity. The decision to not post a partner, the embarrassment of all of it, is a way to manage risk on social media platforms filled with judgment, envy, and ridicule. Social media is often described as a breeding ground for envy, heightening fears of negative judgment or encouraging ongoing social surveillance. This isn't just a feeling. Pew Research reports that 34% of 18 to 29-year-olds have experienced uncertainty or jealousy because of their partner's activity online. One prominent psychiatrist, Paulo Crepit, describes this as a cannibalism of social media. He argues it has torn apart private life to the point that it no longer exists. In this new reality, there are no longer family albums but film reels. Crepit argues that these platforms are just passive tools. They are active agents that control us and shape our perceptions of reality. But Monica Lewinsky offers the clearest example of this.
I was patient zero of losing a personal reputation on a global scale almost instantaneously.
Her experience, which occurred at the dawn of the internet age, has now been industrialized. She argues that this is the key.
A marketplace has emerged where public humiliation is a commodity and shame is an industry.
Viewed from this perspective, the Vogue article is simply a defense strategy against this shame industry. A public hard launch is a risky gamble. The reward is social validation, but the danger is becoming a commodity for the public's cannibalism if the relationship fails. The trend of posting less than ever before is therefore a completely rational risk management choice. The embarrassment isn't about the boyfriend. It's about the act of posting publicity itself, which is increasingly viewed as a naive and foolish risk in this shame-based culture. The soft launch is just a cautious step. Not posting at all is the ultimate refusal to play. But while the shame industry provides a strong incentive not to post, a competing sociological force offers an equally strong reason to post. This is the theory of extimacy, the blend of exterior and intimacy. This theory states that the modern boundary between the public and private domains have essentially merged. Think about it. Traditional intimacy was private, internal, and developed in solitude. In contrast, contemporary intimacy seems only to be complete when it's exhibited in the public domain. In this framework, sharing intimacy via social media is no longer just an optional supplement to a relationship. It's the primary way of affirming one's personality and establishing the relationship's reality. Some scholars say that the shift is so profound that the intimacy displayed on social media ceases to be intimacy and becomes something else entirely. This theory of extimacy perfectly explains that catch-22 we discussed earlier. That Carnegie Mellon/Kansas study, the one that found that a partner who is not posted experiences a genuine loss of intimacy and satisfaction, serves as your empirical evidence for this extimacy thesis. The partner's distress isn't simply jealousy, it is a true sense of loss, because the social requirement for extimacy has not been fulfilled. In this contemporary public sphere, the relationship has not been made real. This creates a true dilemma of the modern romance. The personal brand must not post to protect its value from the shame industry. The relationship must post to satisfy society's and the partner's need for extimacy. The Vogue article documents the exact cultural moment when the personal brand's need for risk finally overpowers the relationship's need for intimacy. This entire system is a feature of what one theorist called the society of the spectacle, where real life is replaced by its representation. Social media is the modern driver of this, marked by a continuous cycle of self-promotion fueled by selfies and likes. This is self-commodification, plain and simple. The ultimate consequence of this, academics have identified it as the transformation of genuine connections into transactional exchanges. With the self being a marketable object, relationships are just evaluated based on their utility and potential benefits. This lens provides us with a way to understand this entire phenomenon. If the self equals a brand or commodity, and relationships are transactional exchanges, then the ick is simply a market-based assessment of a product flaw. Meanwhile, the embarrassment is the brand manager realizing that their new acquisition, or the boyfriend, will hurt their market position. This leads to the most devastating psychological effect, the inability to participate in intimacy. A genuine, unbranded person is threatening because if they're not performing, you can't either. That is the real horror of the commodified self. A genuine relationship would require dismantling the brand, which represents the individual's entire exchange value. Therefore, it is existential, symbolizing a sincere human connection that requires them to stop performing. That entrepreneur's Reddit post is a perfect example for this analysis. He embodies the commodified self, with his identity centered on his mission and his brand of purpose and provision. However, his partners seek constant presence, a genuine, uncommodified form of intimacy. He can't switch off the drive because doing so would harm his brand. He asked the central question of the modern branded individual. Have you found someone who could love you inside your mission, not just outside of it? Chanté Joseph's Vogue article, through its analysis of the female personal brand, provides him with the answer: no. For many women now acting as the CEOs of their own brand, the idea of loving a man inside his mission is something they consciously reject. The girlfriend role feels embarrassing because it suggests that they have merged their brand with this mission, their new high-status role to pursue their mission, while this man becomes a supportive add-on, provided he aligns with their brand and isn't just a brand liability. The phenomenon Vogue identified is a major cultural power shift. It describes the move from a model where women were seen as accessories to a man's brand new model where women are the CEOs of their own. In this new market, the boyfriend is now considered an accessory. This poses a total risk to the brand and ultimately turns into a product that many, with some embarrassment for the system itself, are choosing not to buy. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is a bit of a pivot away from musical analysis, but I do have a background in psychology and fascination with like modern dating, intimacy, and relationships. So being able to have this channel is going to open up so many different possibilities to talk about these things. If there's anything you want me to talk about regarding dating, relationships, or things on social media, along with movies, TV shows, books, and musicals, let me know. Have you read the Vogue article? What do you think? Do you agree or disagree? How do you interpret it? What is some of the discourse you've seen online? Share it all in the comments below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys all on the next take. Bye-bye.